Now, if you like all things creepy, in particular things to do with the paranormal and supernatural, then believe me, this video is going to terrify you. Now, before we begin, we like our viewers to be fully immersed into our videos. So if it's daytime, we recommend saving this one for night, putting in some headphones, sitting in a dark room, making sure the door is locked, and enjoying. Creepy EVP. Now, this ghostly recording is definitely not for the faint of heart, and is considered to be one of the most distressing and horrifying EVPs ever recorded. Now, we warn you, viewers' discretion is advised. This one begins in January of 2007. The Central New York Ghost Hunters, considered to be one of the oldest paranormal investigation teams in the world, from Syracuse, took a job at an old, seemingly haunted hotel in upstate New York. Now, we're unable to provide any more information with regards to the hotel itself, as the owners specifically requested that the ghost hunters refrain from revealing its name and address for safety and security reasons. Now, this alone makes one believe that the place is most likely haunted, as the owners didn't seem to want any publicity, fame or fortune, just a sense of confirmation and explanation. What they found was far more than that. The team had previously stated that their stay at the unnamed hotel was the most intense and horrifying they have ever encountered. The EVP recording, which stands for Electronic Voice Phenomena, which we will play for you in a moment, is truly horrifying. Founder of the Central New York Ghost Hunters, Stacy Jones, and a group from her team agreed to stay overnight at the hotel, and were preparing for a standard evening of evidence gathering and little jump scares. They were informed by the owners that the hotel had seen its fair share of terror, with numerous stories being recorded and logged that dated back to the 1800s when the hotel was built. On the first night, the group set up their equipment across various sections of the hotel. These included video and audio recorders, as well as a bunch of other electrical apparatus that would be used in their attempts at capturing a ghost or demonic entity. The owners advised Stacy and her colleagues that many of the previous investigations carried out at the hotel were relatively quiet and produced little evidence. The afternoon following their evening of spookiness culminated with a distressing EVP that was recorded at 3 p.m, where two female investigators and a member of the owner's family sat on the staircase of the hotel with a voice recorder. The reason for choosing the stairway was due to the fact that the team had heard some voices and footsteps emitting from the floor above, even though no one was physically up there. After setting up the recorder and waiting for some time, the team decided to play it back and was shocked by what they were able to pick up. Have a listen, but once again, viewers' discretion is advised. What do you think of that? When one listens closely to the long segments, you can faintly pick up three female voices, one of which is reported as saying, "Hello baby." Not long after this, a terrifying struggle is heard. The screams emitting from the woman in the recording are extremely blood-curdling and harrowing to listen to. There is definitely some sort of attack occurring on the woman, as you can hear one of them screaming for a person to get off her. What seems to be a separate segment to the recording captures a male voice and the chimes of an old-fashioned cuckoo clock, even though there is no such clock in the entire hotel. Throughout the remainder of the segment, where the ghost hunter team's voices are overheard, there is a male voice seemingly asking for help on a number of occasions. Take another listen to these few short clips and tell us what you think of this one.
the only thing that they couldn't use, because there was no cement at the time, and so again, they couldn't use anything but the same material that was used in the original. But that they could be deemed historical.
Did the team capture evidence of the paranormal, of a struggle that occurred from another time or place by the spirits who dwell there? Does this recording encapsulate all that is terrifying about ghost hunting in general? I don't know about you, but I find this one incredibly eerie. What is this? Now before we dive into the story behind this one, first check this out. Pretty strange. Now the full-length video was posted on the Mexican YouTube channel Enigmas en la Historia OVNIs Actuales, translated to Enigmas in History Current UFOs, and it appears to show an object that seems very out of place. According to the captions in the video description, the footage was captured on February 2022 in Mexico. The country itself is filled with legend, folklore, and religious stories that include demons, voodoos, as well as the largest mass sighting of a UFO in recorded history, the 1991 Great Mexican Eclipse UFO. So what exactly is going on in this video? Well, as you can see, there are 3 different videos and angles showing a dark floating object as it glides, hovers, and disappears at various points in the clip. Dogs seem to be barking and acting restless at the entity as it harmlessly maneuvers across the sky and populous areas below. At 1:36 AM on the 23rd of February, an orb-like object emerges from the bottom left of the screen, which may be one of the dogs that begins barking at the entity. But at 1:37 AM, a dark object comes into view of the camera, initially distorted and appearing as an obscure shape. The sphere hovers over the barking dogs before changing direction and moving towards the brightly lit buildings, where it morphs into a cylindrical shape. The footage from each angle is decent quality, but a little difficult to make out exactly what the object is, due to the night vision and black and white contrast. However, stick with it and keep watching. The next angle shows the entity coming into view from the top center of the screen. This time it has morphed into another shape, something resembling a leaf, as it briefly descends towards the barking dogs below, before taking off again. An earlier video recorded next to the parked van shows, at 11:01 PM, the object floating downward. This time it looks more human-like, before rising up into the skies above. Again, the mysterious anomaly transforms into a starfish-like figure. This time the camera zooms closer to show that it's turning and spinning around as it floats out of sight. Now many believe that this could be a balloon or set of balloons that are deceiving in their shape and size due to their shiny reflection on the night vision cameras. Others believe this is some strange supernatural entity. What do you think it is? The Exorcism of Maurice Theriault. Now I wasn't lying when I said this video was going to be incredibly scary, and if the previous 2 didn't creep you out, this one will. Maurice Theriault, known by his nickname Frenchy, was a farmer from Massachusetts who grew up in a French province in Canada, where he was the victim of a string of abuse by his father. After surviving the horrid ordeal, Maurice grew up and began working on a farm while starting his own family, hoping that the worst was over. However, as the years rolled by, Maurice's loved ones began to notice his demeanor change, as well as his behavior towards his children and strangers. Worried that he was suffering from depression or having a psychological breakdown, the family sought help from a variety of options. Little did they know, they would have to turn to Ed and Lorraine Warren, the world's most famous demonologists. The Warrens were notified of Maurice's case in the late 1980s, after the family made their final, desperate attempt to understand the change in behavior and physical terror that had befallen the once tortured farmer. Ed and Lorraine were informed that Maurice would often become possessed by an external force that took complete control of his body. His lack of manipulation over his limbs opened the door for the demonic entity to consume his mind and thoughts. Maurice would suddenly fall into a deep trance where he would speak in tongues that no one could decipher, as well as demonstrating superhuman strength that his family could not control. Photographs and video footage was taken of Maurice's body, as seen here, which shows mysterious wounds, words and symbols that illustrate blasphemous meanings. His eyes would also change colour, with witnesses reporting seeing them bleed on certain occasions, as well as the air change around them. A heavy presence followed by a strong repulsive smell would occur around Maurice, while objects, mainly those of religious relevance, would move around the house on their own, all of which the farmer was able to identify or recall later. The fear that he and his family experienced resulted in the Warrens conducting their own investigation before the planned exorcism. The demonic forces targeting Maurice were evident, as Lorraine Warren claimed to see a dark entity clinging to Maurice's soul. As she watched the demon mock and play with Maurice's mind, body and spirit, Ed Warren reported on his physical deterioration, noting the lacerations on his face that seemed to emit from nowhere, and concluded that he was indeed possessed and required immediate attention.
And the exorcism will be the first ever recorded on videotape. A tape that shows Maurice's face changing from this to this as the bishop chanted to cast out the devil. Nancy Theriault was present throughout the exorcism.
When they were doing the exorcism on him, when he turned his head, I saw his face change. I saw the satanic look on his face.
As the video shows, far more was about to change on Theriault's face than its expression. As Bishop McKenna chants, Theriault's skin seems to bubble. A deep crack has opened on his forehead.
Maurice, do you feel anything?
As you can see from the harrowing footage, the first ever recorded exorcism that went mainstream, the Warrens, along with Father Robert McKenna and Maurice's wife Nancy, performed what is known as the Rano ritual. This practice, which is synonymous with the film The Exorcism, attempts to expel evil spirits from a person by using prayers, the sign of the cross, holy water, and other sacred relics. Maurice's face begins to change throughout. His body rocks back and forth as he reacts violently to Father McKenna. Ed Warren discusses the cuts on his face opening and closing, as well as his eyes blinking 3 times, which they consider an insult to the Holy Trinity by demonic forces as they battle for Maurice's soul. Eventually the demon is driven out, and Maurice regains consciousness, with the family seemingly free from the hell that had haunted them for such a long time. However, the exorcism only provided a brief respite from the demons that plagued Maurice, as he continued to struggle with his personal traumas, which culminated in tragedy. In 1992, Nancy called Ed Warren to inform him that Maurice was falling back into his old behaviours. Not long after this, he completely snapped and shot Nancy, wounding her, before taking his own life. Nancy would recover from her injuries, and in some ways was glad that her husband was dead, that he was hopefully at peace and free from the demons that tormented him his whole life. Ed Warren believes that the abuse he suffered at the hands of his father made him an easy target for the evil forces that gained control of him, and that he may have practiced in black magic himself due to the extreme characteristics he presented. So was Maurice truly the victim of demonic possession? Is there really a spiritual war going on around us that we cannot see? What do you think? Creepy Russian footage. Now I know this is mainly paranormal and supernatural themed, but we came across this one, we just cannot help but share it. Many believe that it's a real-life Yeti caught on camera deep in the Ural Mountains. And well, it's pretty creepy. It was reportedly captured on a dashcam in Bashkortostan, Russia, located between the Ural Mountains and the Volga River, near the border with Kazakhstan. In the video, the car's driver and passengers can be heard conversing in Russian about Yetis, when suddenly a blurry bipedal figure darts across the road within the car's headlights. The vehicle stops immediately and its engine cuts out, before it's restarted and continues over the figure's tracks, before reversing to get a better look. Take a look at this.
Полчаса пока ехать будем, пока те даже свет.
Those who have viewed the video believe it to be a Russian Yeti, a monstrous ape-like creature covered in red or white hair, said to haunt remote forests and mountains of Russia's wilderness. The creature has a haunting connection to the 1959 Dyatlov Pass incident, when 9 hikers died under bizarre circumstances on Dead Mountain. Their tent had been sliced open from within, and their bodies bore shocking injuries: fractured skulls, missing eyes, torn tongues, and no sign of struggle or attack. A diary entry mentioning snowmen and a blurry photograph of a humanoid figure deepened speculation that they had encountered the Yeti, and it was responsible for their massacre. Of course, there is no proof that it was involved, the same as there is no proof the video here is genuine, but it could be. Ghost Hunters EVP. Now, the last entry of this video comes from the popular television show Ghost Hunters, which I know many believe are fake, and will agree with you that a lot of the stuff there can easily be debunked. However, this one is worth sharing. In episode 3 of the first season, titled The Woman in the Window, the team investigated the home of Tony McMurtry, who believes that there is something going on at the residence. The Ghost Hunters team seem to be coming up short during their stay. Nothing seems to confirm the presence of a spirit until Brandon and Mustafa head upstairs and into the bedroom, where Mr. McMurtry notices a woman lying on the bed. The playback from the recording device emits a woman's voice speaking in the background. At first it sounds very dull, almost inaudible, but after the team reconfigure the audio, the woman seems to say just one single word, which they cannot make out. Later, when Grant, Tony and the others are attempting to communicate with the deceased, there is a presence that begins to reveal itself. When asked if it was the person who is in the bedroom, it replies, in the same woman's voice, the word ma, or mum. This reply sends shivers down the spines of McMurtry, as he immediately recognizes the voice to be that of his own mother, especially due to the tone and dialect in which she says it. Take a listen.
Are you the person that we were talking to upstairs?
Me personally, I feel like she's saying mom.
The last words your mom said to you were what?
I'll always be looking over you.
Oh, wow.
When the team acknowledge that they have in fact made contact with Tony's mother, a sense of calm comes over him, and a weight seems to have been lifted from his shoulders. An emotional Tony is glad that his mother is watching over him, but agrees with Grant that she should not be obliged to linger at the residence, jokingly stating that I don't want my mum to see everything I do. Sometimes it's nice to hear of a ghost story that has a happy ending, that not all spirits are menacing or hell-bent on terrifying us to our core. If the lady on the recording is in fact Tony's beloved mother, then perhaps there is hope for us all, that the souls of those who have gone before us are still looking out for us from the other side. Thanks for watching, keep searching, and I'll see you tomorrow.